Everybody, this is Pastor Dan Stratton, known as Dan Stratton, and you're tuning into Morning Motivations with me. And I want to thank you for tuning in. It's exciting to see each and every one of you and people across the country that are watching them. I've been traveling a little bit lately, and when I travel, I see people I don't regularly see, and they talk about tuning in to Morning Motivations and how much they're enjoying it. They especially enjoyed seeing my grandson a couple weeks ago, and but they've been really encouraging, and it's been exciting. So I take a little bit of time every week to think about these broadcasts and to prepare some thoughts and some things like that. So I want to say good morning to my friend Eddie Othan in Tucson, Arizona. Eddie and I will be heading to Cuba together in 2 months. A little less than 2 months now, so we got to prepare for that, Eddie, when you get a chance. So good morning to you. So today we're going to talk about the concept of gentleness. There's a scripture that says a soft answer turns away wrath, but then there's a really powerful thought that is also from King David that says that the gentleness that I receive from God has made my hands strong, so strong that I can break a steel bow with my hands. And so he talks about the fact that gentleness, in fact, is strength. And when I think about gentleness, and I think about being a big guy, I've been a big guy for a long time. And so when I think about gentleness, it's something that you kind of have to purpose. You kind of have to think about. I come across strong. I'm tall, I'm big, and I'm strong. And so when people are in my presence, if I'm not careful, if I'm not gentle, then I can come across in a way that limits the way people want to interact with me. They recoil a little bit. And so the idea of being gentle on purpose is very, very powerful. And the other part of it is that, when I work with people, and I work with people a lot, whether it's, just in a lot of different situations in business and in ministry and in my personal life, I work with people a lot that, how they think is who they are. And so being gentle on the inside helps you to really apply the right amount of intention, the right amount of intensity to a situation, and you oftentimes can get the result that you want that is mutually beneficial to everyone. And so that's why gentleness is so important. Another word for gentleness might be finesse. Might be tenderness, okay, subtlety, diplomacy, okay. So you want to take a light touch to things, not a hammer, an interactive touch. And in leadership, when you're thinking about gentleness, you want to lead. You don't want to always be micromanaging or directing. So you want to have a soft touch there as well. So what happens with my morning when I think about putting gentleness at the front of my mind, because I know something is going to occur that day. I'm going to have an interaction, maybe a negotiation business wise, or maybe I'm looking to find the right team player for a position in a company I'm working with, or find the right person to assign to what's going on, then it requires a purposed gentleness. And that gentleness helps me to be more objective. It helps me to be more observant, even while I am initiating the movement, initiating the decision, and moving things forward. When I purpose to be gentle, I'm a better listener. When I purpose to be, to work with finesse or subtlety or diplomacy or tenderness, then a lot of times I can draw out the talents of the other person who I am working with. Now, gentleness is not weakness. Gentleness is very, very, very strong when it's purposed. And the way you think of it like that is when people try to provoke you, offend you, insult you, but if you've chosen to be gentle, then they can't knock you off your chosen mindset, your chosen approach. So that's what I mean by choosing. I don't mean a light choice. I mean a strong choice. I'm going to be gentle. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to see this thing through to a mutually beneficial end. And sometimes people will try to, try to provoke strife, or they will, they'll say something like, who do you think you are? Because, how can you react to that so calmly? And so it's interesting to me because once I've made this established, purposed choice, then what it does is it requires the people that I'm working with to put forth an effort, to try to maybe give a little bit more than if I was more forceful, or if I was more aggressive, or if I was more directorial. So gentleness oftentimes facilitates other people's participation, other people's growth. So it's very important that you think about that. I think about that when you're raising children. You think about the gentleness as strength. I think about God. I think about how he's gentle with us. He's not constantly moving my hands or moving my feet or moving my mind. He's gentle with me to learn at my own pace, to choose my own steps. I ask him for help all the time because I need help, but he is not a bully. He is not pushing me around. And so he's my example. And so when I work with people, I don't want to be a bully, right? I don't want to be a director. I don't want to be a micromanager, because honestly, those types of leadership styles, oftentimes bring fear into a situation, and oftentimes curb creativity. They put bars like a prison bars around people where they're just afraid to take a risk. Whereas gentleness allows for mistakes, which means it allows for learning. But really what it allows for is participation, where people will step up and do their very best. And then I take it to the next level. So that's gentleness with other people. I have to be gentle with myself, gentle in my own mind, because I can be my worst critic. I can be harsh. And when I'm harsh on myself, what I do is a lot of times it puts a brittleness in my thought life and in my approach, my protocol, my procedure, where it makes me tired, where it makes me want to quit, makes me, I guess, it's like I'm carrying an extra heavy load. Like the task at hand is 5 times harder than it would be if I was a little bit more gentle with myself. We're going to get through this. Sometimes when I have a task that's repetitive, where there's a lot of things to do and it's going to take hours and hours and hours to do it, I have to be gentle with myself. I have to remind myself, we'll get through this. And sometimes I think to myself when maybe I'm, writing a chapter to a book, or I'm creating an outline for an important presentation, and I'll think to myself, this isn't going to be good enough. This isn't smart enough. This isn't funny enough. It's not inspiring enough. And then, I'm reminded that I'm gentle with myself, and I say, you've done this before. We'll get through this, and it'll be good. And it won't just be good enough. It'll be excellent. So just stay on. And that gentleness allows me to persevere. It allows me to continue, rather than judging myself harshly or hearing the voice of people in my head who have judged me in the past, or who have been harsh with me or hypercritical of me, so that that gentleness that I've chosen, that I've purposed, that I'm not coming off of, gives me great staying power, gives me perseverance, it gives me resilience, it gives me strength. And when you think about, you know, training in any way, whether it's physical training, in my case, vocal training, intellectual training, when you're working your mind, emotional training, where you're working your choices and the things you think about and how you interact, and you want to develop more capacity in all these areas. When you think about training, you have to think about the cycle of training, which is you work, you put resistance, you get stronger, and then you rest. And that rest is a gentleness, because a lot of people can't rest. They can't rest at all. And so people used to, ask me, well, how can you play a football game where you're playing both ways, where you're in the game the whole time? There's a lot of contact, a lot of impact, a lot of pain, and then you have to really, really stay in the moment for the whole game, right? And so you're not coming out, and you have to do it. So what you have to do is you have to be gentle with yourself in the moments of breathing. You have to give yourself the ability to rest while you're exerting yourself. So this gentleness is so important to think about, because it really is what makes you strong. And not only that, you want to demonstrate it to the people you love, because they're going to go through adversity. They're going to go through situations in their life where, they're overwhelmed, where the information that they're getting is overwhelming to them. And you want them to be able to make good decisions in those moments. So you want them to be able to give themselves a moment to think, give themselves a moment not to react, so they don't overreact, or they don't react harshly in a situation, making the situation worse. Scripture teaches us that where there's envy and strife, there's every evil work, right? So you don't want to inject negativity. You don't want to inject defeat. You don't want to inject failure, right? So you want to rest. You want to rest. You want to think. You want to give yourself that ability. Now, then you have to remember that resting is not lazy. Resting is part of the training process. Resting is part of getting stronger. So if you don't rest, you're gonna deplete your muscle. You're gonna deplete your capacity to learn on a regular basis, and then you're not going to be able to keep going. So it's just like breathing. When you take in that breath, you got to let it out. And when you let it out, if you learn to be gentle with yourself, when you let it, don't go like that, but more of a relaxed gentleness, then you'll learn to be gentle with yourself on every breath in an unconscious or subconscious way, so that you're getting stronger on a regular basis. You want to be getting stronger. So when you think about it, think about the people you love, think about your day ahead of you now, and now purpose to be gentle, because when you're gentle, you're going to bring strength. You're also going to bring a temperament, or you're going to be a thermostat in situations. You're going to set the tone. You're going to set the temperature in those interactions today. So take gentleness in, but don't do it, halfway. Don't do it halfway. You got to do it all the way. I'm going to be gentle today. I'm going to use finesse today. I'm going to be subtle today. I'm going to bring strength through gentleness today. I'm going to be a good listener today, because I'm going to go in gentle. And once that starts to happen for you, then you start to realize that your self-control goes through the roof, that your ability to choose your thoughts becomes, hyper sensitive. and you really can begin to be in charge of your life, maybe for the first time. Just think about how you watch a TV show and how it makes you feel. You watch a game, a sporting event, and it makes you feel bad, or you see an ad and it provokes you in some way. It's time for you to get control of who you are and how you think. And gentleness will help that. Gentleness will help that. I hope this helped you today. You're watching Morning Motivations with Dan Stratton. I want to say hi to Jenna out there. Jenna's going to minister for our church next week, which is awesome. I want to say hi to Carol and Eddie again. Thanks for tuning in, and the rest of you. It's been great to have you on Morning Motivations. We do this every week at 9 a.m. on Thursdays. God bless you and have an awesome day.